Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it, you already know. Like a torta with some bad habits. Bye up, bye up, bye ba. See there, you guys got it. This is a controversial one. I don't know why. Let's get to the intro. Welcome back to the channel. If you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you go ahead and do that. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directing the direction of the dope content that the gun stays kicking. And I appreciate the support. I'm very humbled. Controversy, right? I did a video earlier about controversy, right? This one is a controversial topic, and I don't know why. I mean, I understand kind of what's going on, but there's a lot more behind the scenes to this story. But from what I know and from what I've seen and from what I've heard, there's a whole lot of hatred going on there. And I don't know why. So Gotos, the CEO of GT Digital, the founder of the Black and Brown movement, 17 Reasons, Northern Ghetto Boys, all that. San Francisco native, highly respected in them streets. The entrepreneur that put so many Northern rappers on the map, helped them, got them connected, put them in the game, right? Was one of the first guys ever, to establish that Thiz movement for the homeboys, for the Norteños. I see my primo did a video. I did a video on the Mount Rushmore, right? And my primo did a video, and he was absolutely correct in what he said, even more so than me. I got to give him his love. Latin Active 219, go tap in with them, right? Hair funny as fuck, but that's still my primo. I got love for him. But what he said, I was like, he was dead on when he said, fuck being on the Mount Rushmore. That Vato chiseled that Mount Rushmore. Without him, there would be no Mount Rushmore. And I definitely honestly believe without Gotos in the Bay for the Norteños, the rappers wouldn't do what the rappers are doing as we speak. But now, let's talk about this guy from Sacramento, BFD. And I want to be very selective in my wording because right off the top, I don't know this man personally. I've heard things about him, a lot of things, right? And I respect him, okay? And I understand kind of where he's coming from, but at the same time, I got to show him some respect. First of all, he's a very talented rapper, very good from Northern California. Some of the things he says in his lyrics, I once strived for. I understand exactly where he's coming from on that Norteño movement push, right? Especially when you're somebody of status or somebody who is alleged and put out there to everyone that he is someone of status. I can't do nothing but respect that. Now, I watched a video he did the other day, a little short, where I know he was directing the shot at myself, right? And he was talking about these YouTube dropout channels. Their words have no bearing on anybody. Basically, what they say, we don't even take as a grain of salt. It has no meaning to us. That's the right way of thinking. That's the mentality that I was saying earlier in my video, when you could watch whoever you want. You can kind of peep from the sidelines, from the bench, right? And when you see something that's said by someone who is no longer in good standings or no one who is affiliated or associated with you, that was the correct wording. Like, hey, that what he has to say don't mean shit to me. That's another way of observing something and then taking it for a grain of salt. But regardless if my words or any other person's words that are not active ring true or ring loud, they ring, homie, right? And so I've been noticing this beef that's been brewing now for over a year, about a year and a half, between BFD. It's one-sided too, because it's all BFD. If you've noticed, Goldtoes is making so many power moves, wearing shower shoes, making money moves, that he hasn't even addressed, the controversy or the hatred that he's getting from, it seems like, the Sacramento car of California. Now, when I was gangbanging, when I was a Norteño, right, from the youth authority to prison, Sacramento was always different. Major respects for Sac. South Sac, Iraq, you know what I'm saying? Barrio Franklin, the Gardons, the Paso Heights, Lang Drive, like all these real motherfuckers from Sac 14th Ave. The Barrios, Oak Park, they're just numerous in numbers. There's a gang of neighborhoods, even more than back then. But all the homeboys from Sac that I ran into, they were a little arrogant, okay? It was Sacramento above everything else. Kind of reminded me of the homeboys from San Jose at the time. It was Sanjo or nothing, especially the Mobsteros. They were like West Side Mob even before San Jose. It was just, that's how it was. And we used to talk amongst each other, and we used to be like, the Vatos from Sac are different, bro. All they care about is their homeboys first. Now it's changed with all the canalismo going on. I see a lot of the dudes from Sacramento function with a lot of northerners from Tulare County, from the Bay, from the Valle, all that, doing their thing, right? But Sacramento's always been a conundrum. It's been a little bit different than Norteños I'm talking about. And that's because their relationships with the brothers is very, very tight. Their relationships within their different neighborhoods was never that. There was a lot of red on red. There's still a lot of red on red that happens in Sacramento. It's a lot of shit that goes on in Sac between the Norteños that has always happened. It never stopped. When everyone else stopped doing the red on red, and not every city did, Sacramento didn't miss a beat. They were still on their shit. If they didn't like you, it was pinkies up and down and all kinds of different things. You have to refer to the Sacramento South Sac Iraq handbook to figure all that stuff out, right? But they have a different flavor, a different lingo, a different style. I seen when this dude BFD was released from prison after doing several years in prison, he came out with a different mentality. He came out with the mentality of unity, canalismo, and Norteño movement before anything. And I respected it because I remember getting out of prison, getting out of the youth authority on that same shit, trying to bring the homies together, trying to hustle, man, trying to show some unity. But somewhere along the line, he decided that unity did not include Goldtoes. Now, I say this is one-sided hatred and one-sided controversy because, like I said, I've never seen Gotos address it. I've seen Gotos continue to rock the way he does around Norteños, around brothers, around people in the industry. He continues to make them drop them dope rhymes and produce people. And just, he's in his lane. He's in his zone. He's buzz light years ahead of a lot of people. And I think the individuals that have his name in their mouth and are talking about him, it's because there's some envy going on there. From what BFD put out the other day when he was addressing which I know was me, or he was talking about me. He wasn't literally addressing me, but he was talking about me. Was the fact, and they made a good point, that when someone is no longer in good standings or someone is no longer rocking with the homeboys all day, every day, then they don't deserve to be on the Mount Rushmore, because the only ones that deserve to be on the Norteño Mount Rushmore are the guys that stood the test of time. The guys who have started one way and continued that, being cut from that cloth. I get it. But what I put out there was not who's still active, not who's still in the mix, not who's still out there gangbanging, not who's still out there representing, but the pioneers of the Norteño cause and movement, I felt deserved to be chiseled into that stone. And yes, I still believe Gotos does, because without 17 Reasons, without On the North Side, This Is How We Ride, without all that, a lot of the Norteño music that's out right now would never be. Okay, so when you're talking about pioneers, same thing goes for Sir Dino. We know that he's a pastor now out there in the valley, and he's, doing his thing for the Lord. And I respect that more than anything. But anyone who would deny his name chiseled onto that motherfucking Mount Rushmore, right, is foolish. You don't have to be an active gang member, but you can't deny, all the eyes that he brought onto the movement, all the eyes that he brought into the music industry, and everybody that he helped out or he hooked up, or the connects that he had. And believe me, his connects were so thick that he actually got caught up in Operation Black Widow. When the organization, the Northern organization, was caught up, he was right there with them. Okay, because of his music, because of the connections he had back then. Now he's a changed man, but you still cannot deny that he was a pioneer for the Norteño cause as well, as far as it goes in hip hop, period. Now I get it that BFD, what he was saying, when you're considered active, allegedly, I'll say allegedly, homie, because I'm not trying to, get eyes on you that you don't want on you. I'm not going to say nothing that you haven't said yourself. Okay, when you're trying to abreast the homeboys and show love and be that leader. Be that leader on the forefront, on the front lines that, you know, the young Northerners need to lead them to victory, you know, and to lead them to being respected and staying within their homelands, man, and holding it down, right? Which is pretty hard nowadays with as many Southsiders as there are up north. They're actually almost becoming the majority, homie, in a lot of places. It's crazy, right? But I feel the strive. I hear it, right? Things I'm seeing things I never thought I'd see, but it's, hey, seeing is believing. And when you're doing everything correct and the way you're supposed to do it, to show hatred from another man who's very influential in that northern cause, right? Who has never been in bad standings, who has never, you know, to put him in the same light as the degenerates, to basically say in you know, oh man, that like he's basically a degenerate because he's not fucking with the homeboys exclusively. That doesn't make you a degenerate because, like I've said, man, when I was in prison, we did a lot of business with Southerners. We did a lot of looking out for each other, a lot of trading CDs, a lot of shooting sopas. A lot of that happened out of respect for that yarda and out of respect for the other side, knowing that, hey, you don't respect your opposition if they're not worthy of it. But everybody knows one of the things you're laced on is to ponte trucha and respect your adversary because they'll put something in you just as quick as you'll do them. So you can't sit there behind them walls and function a certain way on the yard and show respect and go out there and walk amongst the enemy and even do willings and dealings and shaking hands and you know, getting off on dropouts or whatever together and doing all this. And then at the same time, come back and try to distance yourself from a homie, right? Because he's not exclusively rocking with Nortenos, because he's thinking bigger and better and he's trying to fucking feed the masses. He's trying to hook up everyone and help everyone. Now, it seems like BFD, once Goldtoes went to Southern California and started interacting with people like Swifty Blue, Little Grifo, Lefty Gunplay, crazy, scary, spooky, hilarious, right? Soul Gang, when he started going around them in circles, you know, the face of LA, Baldacci and Spanky Loco and all these different guys, it seemed like BFD got upset about that. I get it. What the fuck is the homeboy doing down there hooking them up when we got a lot of young Northerners up here that need help? Davalto's not obligated to hook anybody up. Davalto's trying to make money moves. Davalto's trying to show blessings to all the raza, Northern and Southern. You know, you got to let that gangbanging mentality go to some point. You got to separate business from that business. Okay, when you're making music and you're trying to gangbang at the same time, something's got to go, homie. Something's got to give. You know, that doesn't mean you're a sucker. That doesn't mean you're not about that. You're definitely about the cause that you believe in. And BFD has displayed that time and time again. That's how he rocks. And I respect it. In fact, some of them dudes that you run around with, I know personally. I've been locked up with one of them. I see him all the time on the TikTok. I see you up in the garage. I know that dude from day one, right? I'll never disrespect them. If you know who I'm talking about, he's out of Sac, right? He knows that I know who he is, and he knows that he knows me. And we did time in Nellis, and we did time in Carl Holton. And hey, that motherfucker right there was a beast, bro. So you're hanging around motherfuckers that really are like that. So I know you're like that, to be around dudes that are like that, to be embraced and shown canalismo by dudes that are like that, because I know them personally. We're not friends. We're not foes. It is what it is. He's still activated in the game. If he sees me, I'm sure he'll get off where he's mad at. And if I see him, I'd get off where I'm mad at first, because he's a big motherfucker. And that's just it. Okay? But I respect. Always. So I know BFD has that mentality. But this controversy with Gotos, bro, why every chance do you get, this dude BFD, every chance he gets, he throws some shade or some hatred towards Gotos? Is there something that people don't know that they should? Right? Because last I heard, and I talked to a lot of people behind the scenes, Gotos is doing his thing out there in Texas, man, making power moves, making money moves, and has never forgot where he came from. He's constantly out there showing love to Sac. He's showing love to Frisco. He's showing love to Sanjo. I mean, he's wiggling, bro. That man is standing on his toes, standing on his Gotos, still wiggling around, still showing love. But I'm starting to notice this movement that's targeting him for whatever reason. And if it's over North and South, That's crazy that after all these years, the mentality has not changed. You know, you can't be mad at a homie that's doing what he can for all gente and people and then throw a Mexican flag in your video because you're not willing to go all out and defend the raza on all fronts, north and south. You're only about one side. And when you're about one side, you can't show something that shows all sides, right? You can do whatever you want, but I'm saying that there's no validity to it. Whatever Gotos is doing, if that irks you or puts you in a situation where you're like, man, this fool ain't real because he ain't fucking with us like that no more. No, maybe he's not fucking with you like that no more because you're not fucking with him. See, I don't even know if BFD has ever had a conversation with Goldtoes or has ever sat down and picked his brain or knows what's up with him. I have not. But what I could tell you from what I know back when I was functioning, I functioned around people that function around him, and they always say, man, that dude's the most humble, coolest, just righteous homeboy there is. Now, there's a difference between being a dropout, a degenerate, and someone who is just putting his family and his business ahead of everything. Now, I know when you sign up on that fucking dotted line, which it's an imaginary dotted line to be a Norteno, right? There's certain things that you must accomplish and certain things that you must do in accordance with the homeboys and the get down, right? I understand. And that's better left unsaid. That's not for me to speak on. I'm in no position to speak on that. But I don't see how Goldtoes making the moves that he's making impacts the Norteños one way or the other, because everything can change tomorrow. You know, the end of hostilities changed everything. No one ever thought they would be on yards, saying not going at it with Southsiders, not going at it with Norteños. Like, no one ever thought that, but times change, things change. And for the benefit of the gente that matter, that's what was implemented. So things could change with the stroke of a pen and a huila. I know that. I've seen it happen on yards personally. I've seen where it's, hey, get off with weaponry this week, and the next week it's just use your hands. And then I've got to a place we're not going to conform to MAC reps, and I got to a place where it's like, hey, it's all out war on site. So things change every day, and you better adapt and go with the program. So when you're in the music industry, when you're doing hip hop music, and it's not Norteño music, it's not Southsider music, it's just music, bro. It's just Norteños and Southsiders doing it, right? If you don't know how to separate the business from the gang stuff, man, it's never going to work out for you. You're only going to achieve level 1. Level 2 is out of your reach because you got to open your mind to other people and other places and other things in order to get that big old bag. Look, no hatred towards BFD. I feel his hatred, and it's definitely hatred directed at Goldtoes because he takes shots at him left and right. It's coming from a place of the gang-banging mentality, feeling, damn, the homeboy turned his back on us. He don't want to fuck with us like that no more. Fuck him. We're going to outcast him, and we're going to put a smear campaign on his name. That's how I feel for whatever reason. But then you look at Goldtoes' side, he's not acknowledging it. He's still rocking. He's doing his thing. It makes people kind of scratch their heads and say, who's right and who's wrong in this situation? Now, I don't know the backstory why BFD is so upset. I bet Goldtoes don't even know the backstory. But from an analytic standpoint, from someone who's just on the sidelines watching, who once was a Norteño and knows how they rock and move, right? I would say this, the Vato BFD, and he's getting that whole little Sacramento area upset with Gotos for whatever reason. It seems like once Gotos went down south and started functioning around Southsiders and giving opportunities and saying, you know what, we could all come together to make these power moves, to make this money, that's when it became a problem. That's when it's like, hey, that Vato turned his back on us because BFD made a sign, said, ain't no unities. We're still killing threes. No, you're not. And if you are, don't talk about it. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I was laced a little bit different. But again, no disrespect to this dude, BFD, man. He's going to do what he does. But for those of you that watch that No Paperwork podcast, go watch them. Go support them, man. They got some good, very good topics and very good conversation. But at the same time, man, it seems like that dude BFD is always throwing a shot at Goldtoes. And inquiring minds want to know. And I know everything I say doesn't matter to you, but you watch everything I say, so it matters. That's just the truth, bro. Just like I watch everything you put out. Why? Because I'm always going to have that northern fire in my heart, no matter where I'm from, bro. And anytime a homeboy, and I say a homeboy, proud, puts out something, I'm going to support it. Unless it's propaganda and bullshit, then I'm just not going to disrespect it. I'm just going to step back from it. But for the most part, everything you and that dude Insane and all you Vatos put out is fire, right? Now, at the same time, when you start disrespecting Southsiders and you start disrespecting people, I mean, there's Southerners on every block, bro. You don't even got to disrespect them. Just go out and do your thing. Just go out and do your thing. What is the hatred towards Gotos? Maybe we'll never know. Maybe it's exactly what I said it is. It's just the fact that he's out there fucking around with Southerners, man. Not even fucking around with them like that, but just giving them an opportunity. And the homies are like, hell no. That's bandito acts, right? It's not, bro. We're not in prison anymore. This is the streets. With that being said, let me know what you guys think. Some of you guys don't even know who I'm talking about. But I'm just doing this video for those that know. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly believe in. That's the betterment of all people. This video right here is sponsored by Barrio Liquors. Look, don't blame the mess. Hey, don't blame him. I'm just the messenger. You can blame me, right? But shout out to Barrio Liquors out there in Turlock, California. If you're ever in that area, man, go get you a cold one, man. People show support to small businesses, especially in the 209. Bang, bang.